Welcome to the Infinite Star Connections podcast. We are your hosts, my friend Jeff Demers and myself, Viviane Chauvert, representing beautiful intergalactic enlightened civilization, the Star Nations. And today we are particularly excited for a very ancient and sacred journey with the Mamos. So allow me to introduce today our very unique and wisdom energy of our guests, exploring ancient knowledge from the wisdom keepers, the Mamo, living in the high Sierra Nevada mountains of Colombia, the Arhuaco Mamos of Kadukwū, Wamūke, and I apologize for my pronunciation. They have a beautiful message to transmit from the heart of the world. And we're going to explore today their wonderful wisdom, their connection to the Star Nation, their connection to, Father Creator, the law of origin, the universal law of the One. The Mamos are spiritual leaders, healers of the indigenous community with a profound spiritual connection to the earth. The Mamos serve as guardians of the ecosystem, maintaining the balance of the natural world through prayers, offerings, and rituals. And today we are very blessed. We will have a direct translator from moving from Spanish to English. And speaking of on behalf of the Arhuaco Mamos, we are honored to have the voice, the ambassador, Bunkwaney-Maku, who have graciously accepted to speak with us directly from Colombia. So we want to wish him and everyone a very warm welcome from our hearts. Bienvenidos. And for you translating, can you please introduce yourself so we understand the dynamic here?
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Tiam Steele, and I am currently operating as a special advisor for Nikuma, which is the government of the Arhuaco people. The Arhuacos are one of 4 original peoples in what they call the heart of the world, which is in the Sierra Nevada in Colombia. And I will be translating for Bunkwaney-Maku, who is technically the spokesperson for all of the leaders and mamos of the Arhuacos. So I will be presenting different parts of the dialogue to him, and he has been conversing with a group of mamos specifically about intergalactic communication with different races and different traditions and how that functions in his realm and how that works with the different higher leaders in the mountains there that are in charge of keeping balance between the relationships here on Earth and in general universally. So I'll be speaking in Spanish and English for everyone here.
Wonderful.
Incredible. And thank you so much for your incredible services and especially taking the time to be with us. And of course, we are grateful for you and for the Mamos for accepting our beautiful invitation today. And this is exactly where we are. So I want to say hello as well to everyone tuning into the podcast right now. This is, like Jeff mentioned, this is a rare treat. It is a beautiful, special occasion. So as much as you can to be with us the entire time and to immerse yourself. And since translation can take time, and we want to honor the space, honoring also the expression, the wisdom, the knowledge, we're going to take more time to listen. So this is going to be an exchange without questions, but more to be exploring the wisdom that they want to share with us and for generations. And so thank you for holding the space with patience, with gratitude, with universal peace and harmony. So we want just to bring that energy right now. So we will not be reading today any question from the audience. We have a very specific protocol that we're going to honor and observe. So let us begin, if it's okay with you, TM, to ask today Bunkwaney-Maku to see, maybe to introduce for our audience and to gain a deeper appreciation of who they are and maybe a little bit of the background, and then we're going to go deep into our conversation.
Okay, perfect. Bueno, Bunkwaney-Maku, estamos muy agradecidos aquí a tenerte en servicio para este gran momento de la humanidad y aquí con el planeta y este equilibrio que estamos tejiendo juntos. Y bueno, Vivian aquí está preguntando si sería posible para ti a dar la audiencia, la gente aquí escuchando, un poquito sobre los arhuacos y quién son, solo algo corto que puede explicar un poco para que podamos profundizar después.
Claro que sí, estamos para esto. Sí.
Perfecto. Bueno, escuchando a ti, voy poniendo en nota.
Bueno, nosotros la esencia es, la palabra en nuestra es ik. Son 3 palabras, sería ik. La palabra i quiere decir que es todos, un solo ser. Y ka, como que es tierras. Y la palabra u es para vivir ku, ik. Entonces quiere decir que uno no es para vivir en este mundo alejado de los seres que existen en el mundo planetarios, ni el universo. Es un conjunto. Entonces la palabra ik quiere decir un solo ser. Entonces la palabra Arhuaco ya puesto, la gente que vino, escuchó cómo no daba para ponerle el nombre, y nosotros decíamos mucho aziguaco, como la palabra decir así, o sea, ni modo, ¿qué hacer? Porque mucha gente empezaron como a robar, a destruir, llegaban con montonones y amenazar y matar. Entonces no hallamos ni qué hacer, decíamos aziguaco, de tanto escucharnos dijeron arhuaco, pero la esencia es ik. Entonces por eso nosotros decimos el ik, ¿qué es ik? ¿Qué es mamo? ¿Qué es sabios? Son los seres naturales, porque uno depende de los seres naturales. Ellos son los códigos vivos, ellos son lo que mantiene la energía con todas las estrellas, con todos los astros que existen. Esos son un conjunto. Entonces quiere decir que uno hace parte de ese elemento que vivimos a pasar en un paraíso, a preparar, a avanzar a la línea vertical. Entonces tenemos que entendernos esa realidad de la vida, que es ik, y que es un solo ser.
Amazing. Bueno, okay. So Bunkwaney-Maku, the speaker for the Mamos and authorities of Pueblo Arhuaco, is coming forth to say a little bit about their name, first of all, which is quite an interesting story. It's taken some years for us to get to the depth of what it really is, and now we're even learning a little bit more here. So he says, of course, we are here for this conversation and to present, so thank you. For us, the essence, the word, is iku, which is actually 3 words. E, which is an I. E is total, everything, all, the essence all together, one being. And ka, ika, ka is related to earth and the lands that create our physical reality. And u is, the meaning is living together with everyone. So iku means one being, all one being. And that is the actual name of their essence, of their people and what they hold on to in their living memory, as they call it. The traditions that they practice are practiced not to simply have tradition, but they are practiced to hold on to and to embody this frequency of life that routines and habits and traditions are made for, so that we can stay in some form of framework. And their framework that they stay in is this essence of being one being together. So Arhuaco was a name that was put on us, and that we started to call they started to call themselves Arhuaco, which for them, when the pirates came, they were the tribe that met the Christopher Columbus and the ships that they landed right there on the Colombian border, on the Caribbean Sea, in the city called Santa Marta. At the time, it wasn't a city, it was where the Arhuacos lived, right close by. And their brethren there were the ones who met the Spaniards who came over. And from that moment on, a lot of oppression started to happen. At first, they thought they were friendly. Turned out they were not. They got enslaved. They got their things stolen from them. Lots of gold. They had their mamos and wise men massacred. And it was a very, very big deal for many years. And so in that time, they started to realize that this was not a good situation. And they said, okay, well, we don't need anything. We are, we are enlightened beings here on the planet, and we were incarnated here to take care of this planet, and we know how to do all of that. We live that. So we're going to call ourselves a name, Arhuaco, that means we don't need anything. So you can take everything from us and we're still going to be totally fine. And them saying that enough, people started hearing it, and now they say Arhuaco. So it turns out that in our system, their tribal name isn't even their tribal name. So we refer to them as Arhuaco, which comes from Arhuaco, which actually is needing to be called Iku. And it even goes further. They have different names. They've been here for a very long time, since the beginning of physicality on the planet here. So going back to his message, the people started to call us Arhuaco. But what we are actually living codes. The Mamos are in communication with all of the stars and all of the beings here on the planet. So here in physicality, and then also afar in the full physicality of our universe. And we, as beings, we being the Mamos, are together in this, what they call conjuntos, which is together and then together again. So we are together in the togetherness, and that is what their essence of being is. That's what they embody as Mamos. So to say this, we are all part of the same source. And we're on a journey here in the physical world on this planet, passing from this horizontal line, learning our ways until we can come to the vertical line, a different way of living. And this is together in Iku, which is their word and their essence of their people. All one being.
Incredible. I can feel the energy. I'm sure everyone tuning in. And I think Iku, like you mentioned, was also their native tongue, was it not?
Yes. And there is a new distinction now within the last couple of decades. They've been noticing that they have a distinction even internally within their people. Some people speak Iku still, and some people now speak Arhuaco. And the difference is that the people who still maintain Iku are able to, there's these very small vibrational nuances or tonal nuances that people will use in our language, we can be more associated with it for emphasis or emotional kind of like cues and ways that we're communicating. They use these influxes of tonality at the ending and the beginning of their words, and that carries a lot of subtle but very important meaning that carries on through the sentences. So iku has a lot of this microtonality that actually each tone is indicating a lot of actual energetic substance that needs to be able to be communicated. So there's less of them that are still managing this high level of energetic understanding. And now as they are getting more touched by the colonial systems, and they have more of their people falling into schools and work and things like that, then they start speaking more Arhuaco and less iku.
Oh, okay. Okay. Would it be appropriate to ask, how did Bunkwaney-Maku became the voice, the ambassador, to speak on behalf of the Arhuaco Mamos?
Bunkwaney-Maku, ¿quieren saber si puede ser una buena pregunta a ver con usted tu camino propio a cómo llegaste a ser el vocero de los Mamos? Si este es algo bonito a
Sí.
compartir. Bueno.
Para ser embajador hasta mismos pueblos, hay que entender las palabras, porque nuestra palabra es palabra de Ik. Pero le estoy diciendo, para nosotros, Ik es un ser vivo, un ser natural. Entonces, uno hay que entender hasta la visibilidad de los astros, y tanto los pájaros, y entonces los mamos traducen con esas esencias por lo que percibe. Entonces uno entendiendo y uno interpretando, el mamo lo pone para traducir ese mensaje a los pueblos. Entonces a mí me pusieron porque es un lenguaje más profundo de los sabios. No es lo mismo lo que uno se conversa. Como decir, si hablamos de un árbol, tiene una raíz, uno profundo hacia vertical, y tienen 3 más gruesas. O sea, la línea como más gruesas. Y llegó que le estaba comentando, vamos.
He was in the middle of speaking to us, and now one of the Mamos has come up to arriving. They weren't sure who would be making it, as everybody is working in their realms there. So he's stopped in order to greet. He'll start again.
Entonces, o sea, tiene que ser bajo esa sabiduría, y viendo a ese nivel es que uno lo elige.
Ajá. Bueno. Así. Okay. So he put it short so that we can move through the things accordingly. And he says, well, to be an ambassador, even in our own people, we have to understand the words. And our words are iku. Like I was saying, iku is a living being, a natural being. So one has to understand, for example, the stars and the energies they represent, and the birds, and the different sounds or messages that come from these different beings that are here with us, and the different aspects of reality in general. Understanding these things, then you can communicate with the Mamos. The Mamos are in charge of creating translation from what we call the universal law, or the law of origin, which is embodied through nature. And the Mamos, interpreting what is coming as messages through nature, through the different codes that are being brought to us by the songs of the birds or the evening crickets or different aspects that are coming into our actual physical realm, the Mamos are trained on how to navigate and work with these different energies that we call codes. And they are then interpreting this into a message that can be given to our people. So we said earlier that they are spiritual leaders. The Mamos are the spiritual leaders as the interpreters between our humanity and nature for their tribe. They then watch nature and learn all of these things in order to then give a message that is to the people. As we said before, Iku and Arhuaco are slightly different in their wisdoms and understandings and the depth of connection and consciousness in general. So these very high conscious and tuned in beings are speaking a language of nature, and it's not very easily comprehended by other people, right? Even their own people. So they have leaders in between the Mamos and the people, and he has been a leader for his whole life. That is what Maku means. It's a termination that you were born with a skill to be a leader. And in his becoming, he has been a prodigy in understanding the affinities and the different types of energetics involved in being able to understand what a Mamo is saying, even what does it mean to bring the medicine to the heart of the world, for instance, to dialogue about what medicine is and what kind of medicine needs to be brought. And they're always working with understanding how to balance these energies. So he was seen as someone who had a talent in speaking the multidimensionality of these language, of these, let's say, levels of consciousness in their language. And he was also born on a mountain that is specifically meaning his spirit. That is, how do we say that? In their culture, where you're born is very important. And the spirit you're born with is connected to a specific mountain because each mountain has its own spirit. So, or is its own spirit. So his mountain is the one that is related to speaking to all the foreigners outside of their people. So over time, he's been seen as a great leader, as a prodigy in the spiritual realms. He's always wanted to be a Mamo, and he was denied learning that from the temples. Even though he spent decades in the temples, he was never allowed to progress in his terms that he wanted to. And the Mamos told him that he was to learn of the outside world and to learn to communicate to us and figure out how to share these wisdoms. So over the last years, he has evolved as a leader in their different moments, and he's proven himself over and over. So recently, in the last years, I think 2 years, he was selected to be the ambassador for the Mamos.
Wow. Congratulations. This is a huge accomplishment. Would like to present or introduce us to the Mamos who just entered the room?
Dicen, bueno, felicidades en tu comprensión de Iku y de idioma, de conciencia y todito de lo que sigue en esto. Y bueno, muchas gracias por tu servicio. Y quieren saber si quieres introducir con quién estás ahí.
Ya le va a decir el nombre.
Bunkwaney-Maku. Bunkwaney-Maku.
Mamo Bunkwaney-Maku.
Bunkwaney-Maku. Ajá.
No Bun, sino Bunkwaney-Maku.
Ajá.
Gun.
Bunkwaney-Maku.
Gun nace de la palabra de fuego.
Gun.
Que entiende tipo de fuego.
So his name is Mamo Bunkwaney-Maku. And again, Maku is a termination for leader. And Gun means that he understands energies relating to fire.
Wow, to
Entonces, aquí
fire.
estamos para depositar esta primera confianza desde esa energía energética.
So we are here to deposit this first session of trust in these energetics that we are weaving.
Es que sea este es un futuro para nuevas generaciones, para dejar este camino, que todos seamos parte de una alianza de la línea perfecta.
That because this is the weaving of for the future, for new generations that are coming, that will be following in our footsteps. And so then that's the purpose of wanting to be able to weave this and set this well and start us on a good path, as it will lead to future conversations that will need to happen to make sure that the message is aligned for the generations to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. We feel the energy and the exchange on the fire energy, the elementals, the presence of the earth, the presence of so many beings. I can tell that there's a lot going on in my room right now. And one of the being, I don't know if it's one of them, came to my room and make a big bang, like I heard like a sound, like a thunder sound right next to me. So I don't know if it's part of the exchange, but it was very potent. I heard that energy coming through in sound.
Te dicen, sí, que pueden entender que este es algo muy precioso, especial, y que la energía es muy alta ahorita, especialmente en el cuarto de ella. Ella puede sentir mucha presencia con ustedes, y no sabe si fue uno de ustedes, pero fue una energía que entró cerca de su cuarto y ha hecho un pan grande y como un señal, y todo está muy presente.
Sí, a través de rayos del sol y no estamos comunicándonos.
He says, yes, but through the rays of the sun, we are communicating to each other.
Bueno. Yes, and I do use the sun a lot to communicate. Speaking of communications, would they like to share about the Supreme Declaration of the Law of Origins with us?
Sí, perfecto. Bueno, so that is dicen por la comunicación. Entonces, no sé si quieres compartir un poco sobre esta declaración supremo.
Y a las 2 vamos a entrar, ¿cierto? Usted le puede aclarar, o yo le puedo aclarar un poco.
He's going to clarify a little bit.
So he's translating from Kadukwū to Spanish, and then you translate that for us in English.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible, everyone. This is incredible.
Entonces él le va a dar un mensaje de la declaración.
Okay, so the Mamo is going to give a declaration for a message to the Arcturian spirit in energy in accordance to this declaration.
za kinukwa mirsim ga knaman kabasa ninza na zaligi no kunukwa nanjare andem.
Dice, primeramente, quiero decirle cómo se sienten. Aquí estoy y he estado para compartir esta esencia que es de todos. Que me llamo Bunkwaney-Maku. Con G, Gun.
Bueno, so first he says, firstly, I want to say, how do you all feel? Here I am, and I have been, to share this essence that is for everyone. My name is Bunkwaney-Maku.
Naba mirsim ga knama ang kajasa chowa banama chori banama kawizana naika ni zare me joi kaka kagama joi kase knan nukra sere kuin knan nar kunava vira kokuchu zanukja mingbunsi kawa chame kawa zi kawa inkchikiwa kawa aimare kan junaze zam junaze ka junaze e maanuge vinchunukuja gay chunuga bunikna chunuga je chunuga sinde igan sinan jare nivire do kusam kawana ajani chunugame mana kwakurana ki mana kwakurare ijimo ga jin jikin kwakura nanan ndiwa kagamu iwa vira kokinki bunsi channa binjare ema bunsi chana zangpi ngauge kasingan ganame ka jari kasindi vinan krigan kwama vin dinga vin gwam vin gwa kam kawana ni zari chunukura nanajere ingire vira koksin anu gwen kichumpana ingire timasin anu gwen kichumpana ingire juisine kanu gwen kichawi zangi anu kujere imare ngema chikame zanase zamu gajase nanigere ay kwarigin gansinare bema se imi kai gunugin di achunan kiware vivi zani kampana jeka kampana kangaji kampana nan de manan ka rei magwi zum miknik kwa naname andai manan gware imi au ganere imi tagwi anu gwere chung kwanam kawarande e mai wasinan kwani arusi wa kuikare neki nan guzani yi nan kwani tazan sa nan au ganame imi tazan anu gwere ema joi kakre chunukura nanika me kabasnin zanarne.
Bueno, para traducirle un poco de lo que él expresó, para entendernos, la palabra de la esencia es un poco complejo, pero creo que todos hacemos parte de ellas. Como todos nosotros vivimos bajo de unas montañas, bajo una misma razón del planeta Tierra, y todos nos alimentamos de ellas, respiramos y también nos ilumina el astro. Por igual, muchos dicen la creación, hay otro dice que nacimiento, pero más que todo la creación del universo. Desde allí nuestra espíritu, nuestra energía ha existido. Bajo ese mandato hay muchas montañas que están constituidas aquí en el corazón del mundo. Cada montaña tiene sus específicos lineamientos con los astros. Es un conjunto. Por igual, las estrellas, nosotros, hay millones de estrellas, pero vemos que tienen tipo de colores, reflejan. Hay otros se ve como más rojo, hay otro como un poco verde, hay otro más iluminado. Entonces, cada persona hemos visto que sentido y también le han dejado, nace con esa esencia para entender un poco esa energía. Como aquí las montañas están conectadas con los astros y hay una montaña específicamente están con las naturaleza, digamos con los bosques. Entonces hay estrellas que están conectadas con esas montañas. Es lo mismo montaña que específicamente hay de aguas y la estrella también están conectados con esa energía. Y también lo que le dan colores y sabores. Entonces ellos son unos conjuntos que maneja ese sistema. Entonces ahí ser humano de pronto nace en el momento donde está reinando esa energía, o cuando fecundaron, o cuando sembraron, como decir, eran útero. Entonces se desarrolla, nace con ese, digamos, con esa energía para entender como más fácil. Entonces desde acá, desde el corazón del mundo, hemos permanecido, es como conservando y protegiendo esa esencia para mantener el equilibrio al universo, porque nosotros somos vivir y entender las leyes que son del universo, no de un ser humano. De pronto algunos puntos puede ser necesario para que haya una disciplina, pero tiene que ser bajo mandato de la ley del universo. Entonces desde acá hemos estado haciendo grandes obras, con grandes paciencia y con grandes arte, y me siento honradamente que vamos a tener una alianza visibles con mayor fortaleza para avanzar de lo que nosotros hemos estado protegiendo de muchísimos años.
Duni.
Duni, gracias. No sé qué crees que se
Buenísimo. Okay. So, from Bunkwaney-Maku, to translate a little of what he expressed, these are in the words of Bunkwaney-Maku, to understand each other, these words are a little complex, but we are all a part of them. So we all live under mountains. There are mountains around all of us, and our planet is created by them, with them. On the same planet, in its essence, we are all breathing as well. And we are all united by the stars. A lot of people will say the creation. Others may call it the birthing. But in the creation, our energy existed in it, in the essence of that creation itself. And under this reasoning, many mountains are here on this planet, all of them with specific energetic connections to the stars. It's all a togetherness, a network of relationships, of energies. All of them, the stars, have different colors. Some are red, some are more green, some are more illuminated. To each person, or so each person here, we have seen that people here, as in their people, within the Iku, we have seen that people are born with these essences, these connections to the stars, to understand a little bit of this energy. Different children are born, different beings are born with different connections to different stars. So like here, as the mountains are connected to the stars, there is a specific mountain that is connected to the forests. There are stars that are connected to these mountains. Same for the waters. There are stars that are connected to water. Same with flavors and colors. So there is a system that this is all functioning inside of. The same as when a baby is being born. There is development happening in the gestation period that is connecting to stars. And different beings are born with different insights connected to these different energies and stellar alignments. So we are here to live and understand the laws of the universe, not the laws of humans. Maybe there are some needs for disciplinary structures. In that case, we may have to follow some human laws. But other than that, we are here for the universe. All of us are connected to a vast network of stars that are completely bound together, making this all function in a way, in an essence, as iku. With that said, we are here to create an alliance together in order to protect what we have been protecting for many, many, many years.
I just want to reflect on the word alliances. We are many beings born with different qualities, representing different stars, the mountains. Such a resonance to feel the energy of the guardian of each mountain. Beautiful. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. The energy. Do you feel the energy, Jeff?
And it's interesting that they align themselves like we do with like the horoscopes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar. I think they call those engrams or something like that. Universal engrams that everybody's born with. I'm sure that they can refer to that too.
Right. And the star seed, as we refer, really connects with each soul or each baby coming back and having a star connection, the colors. Are the colors very significant for their wisdom about the stars, or is there something they would like to share a little bit, maybe a bit further in that regards?
Están interesados en ver como un tipo de astrología que Jeff está viendo que hay conexiones un poco a nuestra cultura del horóscopo, donde estamos viendo Capricornio y Piscis y cosas así, que también los niños están conectados a diferentes estrellas. Y Vivian dice que tal vez es interesante a preguntar sobre los colores, algunas estrellas verdes, azules, rojos, así, si hay cosas significantes en los colores o algo a profundizar un poco, o ¿cómo piensas tú?
Kay Junazina Namka Butsinizan Bonarnam Jaga Gyomre Gyomgungun Joikas Z Kaina Daimare Imakansina Bunikum Mikinan Bonari Zanana Kindema Imakam Sinzinam Ringavani Kovin Kijana Kijana one Kijana Yamaruku Wingun comes in Sartima Gungun comes in Gawak Ajajare Rinzinarnam Monakana Rinzinarnam Ya tibunare jina zina. Nande jaga aima karima kariga pikar nankte manikna tibunare ini aga kazana kandiwa ya Viruti, Virgion. Diva Yamamana Capincharo, Cassin, Nanaka Karimarin. I can kill Gavan Kikana, I mean,
Jamsi.
jumps.
Iminarema ikse manaka mikran
Jumps in the Yemi Nari Bunsitan and the Mana Zikanamana, Mina, and then Magicum. Mogan Kitini Paikakino, Biogel Kikikovan Kikana.
Ya no. Aquí hablando, porque hay cosas que es muy profunda, de pronto es complejo para entender, pero hay cosas que un poco más fácil, si hablamos de las semillas. Porque cuando uno, lo que es complejo quiere decir, cuando uno nace, hay una estrella que nosotros le decimos Yuamsi. Nosotros Yuamsi lo tenemos como 2 totumas para echar crema que se llama Yua. Yua es como relacionado es con sangre del cuerpo, de la naturaleza y todo. Entonces hay 2 estrellas que son que están junticas, y si nace un niño estando aparte ya amaneciendo, quiere decir que el niño va a tener una superación, como entendiendo más perfecto con la naturaleza. Y también otro, que son nosotros decimos Nankt, la última estrella que queda de amanecer, y también ese tiene un mensaje, y también otro al oscurecer. Y dentro de eso hay uno que se llama Mónicna. Se ve como una línea, no sé cómo lo llamarán ustedes, como blanco, como un profundo, pero así hace una línea. Y el otro que representa el serpiente. Y otro de halcón. Con todos los, tiene que ver con los predadores halcón. Pero están de este lado de la línea que pasan la luz. Y de este lado están positivos y este lado están negativos, pero ellos conjugan esa estrella, porque con Uku con la serpiente no se acercan. Entonces en ese momento es que nosotros hacemos el ejercicio, la actividad, para que eso vaya alineado tanto con las palabras y con las actividades que uno realiza, para que vayamos entendiendo lo que es el natural, o sea, cumpliendo esa base de la ley. Entonces es muy importante para formar de esa parte y entendernos. Más que todo aquí que a los niños les enseñamos los uku, que parecen de 7 estrellas. No sé cómo lo llamarán. Ese es el momento para sembrar. Pero cuando ya, punto cuando estén como un cuarto de, cuando amanece se ve ya subiendo como si medimos como una cuarta de las montañas hacia arriba. Entonces en ese momento los niños, con unos algodones y hilos preparados, decirle como, llamarle que nos dé esa semilla, esa profundidad, con las palabras nuestras, en nombre de las montañas y el agua, y la papa está ahí, y de ahí le hace un trabajo con la energía, con otros materiales de piedra, y después se siembra. Entonces ya abundan las semillas sin muchas enfermedades, porque si no, la enfermedad lo atacan. Al mismo, la naturaleza parece que no, de pronto el agua o se hiela, cuando es así, no. Y también hay que hacer como reunir la basura de alrededor, como abonos, lo que queda aquí en la sierra, o sea, lo que es natural, y hay que llevarlo adentro en la huerta y quemar para que ese humo proteja y también siente que hay un señal, que hay una siembra. Pero todo tiene que ser bajo un trabajo orientado de los sabios. Y todo ese trabajo transmite a las montañas. No sé si lo hago entender.
Claro que sí.
Uh-huh.
Claro que sí. So he says, I think we'll have a nice little treat in here for us as the Star Alliance. He says, well, we are talking about things that are very complex to understand. But something that could be easier to understand is maybe relating to seeds. So, for instance, Juamasi, Jua is related to blood for the body. And there's a star related to this. If a child is born in connection to this star, then they will have a very good connection with understanding nature. There is also Nungta, which is the brightest star in the morning when the sun is rising. It is the last star to disappear into what we see as a blue sky. Then there's also a line of stars. He's not sure what we would call it, but there's a line of stars that they relate to. And then there's a star related to the archons. One is positive, one is negative. One side of it is positive, one side of it is negative. And when we're working with what we call Ukwa, that for us, as the little brothers, is what we call in English the Pleiadian stars, the Pleiades. So when we're working with the Pleiadians, the snakes don't come. So we work with that energy connection in order to make sure there is order within the natural world around us and that there is balance. It's very important to have the formation of this part in our lives, and for us, as in everyone on this call, to understand each other. More than anything, we show the children this star, the Pleiades constellation of the 7 stars. This is the moment to plant specific things, like for us, potatoes, but only when the star is in a specific alignment in the sky. It has to be a quarter past a certain mountain. And then we know that at this time, sometimes 2 in the morning, is when it is the right time to plant. And we make this connection. We show the children how to connect with the stars, in this occasion, the Pleiades, with our cotton that we use for our energetic works. And we use Iku words along with cotton in the name of the mountains and in the name of the water. And then we show them as children how to do this energetic work, to fill the cotton with the appropriate energies to make the connections, and then we plant. And then with this work, abundance reigns across the land, and the seeds are very prolific, and there are very few sicknesses for the crops. He says then you also have to collect different compost or natural waste material, sticks and branches and dried leaves and things, and make it, put it together and burn it to make a fire. And do all of this is done under the guidance of a mamo, and the mamo is helping with the energetic connections. So this fire is then letting smoke come off, and the smoke is used to also make communication to the different realms of kingdoms in the physical space, and that helps let all of the other animals and insects know that there is a specific marking in this orchard, or they have their gardens that are specifically created with all of this high-level energetic contractual work, and they put the stones around the whole orchard in large stone walls, and then they continue having these energetic communications, or what we might call ceremony or ritual. And so that's some of the ways that they work with the stars.
Beautiful. I could picture and feel everything as you were translating, and I could just see the cotton, I can see the fire, I can see the smoke, I can feel like I am there. And I know that many people who are tuning in right now, you can feel the energy. What about you, Jeff?
It's interesting that they use Pleiades for guidance, because we do revolve around them, and I find that quite interesting. They're not the only group that follows that practice too. There's many tribes in Africa that use the Pleiades for their guidance.
Dice Jeff que este es muy interesante porque también hay muchas tribus en África que están conectados con los Pleiades para navegar o tener una guianza.
Dukcha.
Yeah, Dukcha is their word for what we might say is like really, really cool or really, really good. Du is positivity, and Dukcha is the higher level of a positive affirmation for something that is good.
That's wonderful.
Do they get communication from the Pleiades at times, or are they just star watchers?
¿Quieren saber si ustedes reciben comunicación de los Pleiades también o si ustedes solo están observantes?
Perciben la energía.
It says we perceive the energy.
Y también hay como código aquí que tienen las piedras en forma como la estrella y otro como la luna, como las fases.
Mhm.
Entonces se comunican a través de la energía.
And that there's also rocks. There's also stones that are having different codes inside of them that, as when we look into physics and quantum physics, the fractalization of reality as all things follow as Vivian has here, follow a fractalized pattern of what could be referred to as the universal law. For them, what is in the universe is also present here for those who have the eye to see. And they have these different stars that are represented in the different stones, and even the moon and different things. So where they're moving, when they're walking, they're constantly receiving messages from these different energy sources.
Y aquí está la semilla cuando ustedes vengan para alimentarnos. Están escuchando.
And he says, and here is a seed for when you guys come that we can element ourselves with, and it is listening.
Lo que se conserva con la estrella todo no se pudre, sino todo es perfecto.
What is conserved with the stars doesn't rot. It becomes perfect, and it is saved within.
Y también hay una semilla muy nativa que también están naciendo.
And here is also a very, very native seed that we have here that is growing, birthing.
Entonces eso nosotros lo tenemos
Sprouting.
después de las conversaciones, cuando ya está a punto de un día antes de la luna llena, ya esto vamos a sembrar.
So then one day before the full moon, they'll be going out to plant those. And as a kind of a contextual reality, they are currently up high in the mountains. We brought a satellite there just specifically for them to start developing the ability to communicate more authentically from the depths or the heights. They're about an hour and a half above their capital, which is Wamūke, and it is the capital of the Arhuacos, and the Arhuacos are the leaders of the 4 tribes. So technically, it is the tribal capital of the heart of the world, or the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. And him being the spokesperson for the Mamos, one of his jobs is he's constantly going to where the Mamos live, and each Mamo has a job or many, and so they are in charge of specific sectors, specific parts of the land, the sacred sites that they communicate with and they move around to are all connected to this universal grid and these different stars. So here where they are at now, they're close to a very special temple that their greatest leaders have formed around in order to help them to communicate what is necessary to put into our little brother language and our laws. So back in the 70s, just next to their location now, they were very prominent in putting together their minds to try to understand what all of these energies are and how they can preserve the heart of the world and communicate that to the civilized humans, in this case in Colombia and the Colombian government. So their people, specifically their group of leaders in that sector, are very prominent in learning how to take what is simple and natural law as a seed. It's actually very complex, but it's a simple thing that exists in our natural world. They've now had to learn to take that and start putting things into legalese, and learn how to make a constitution, and learn how to tell our people what a sacred site is and why it must be protected, and how to get it into the Colombian constitution, and how to make sure that decrees and amendments are coming. So they're constantly fighting, though they're passive, they're peaceful, and not passive, they're very active, but they're peaceful, and they only work through dialogue and strategy and through the word and through energetics. So to have a little bit of understanding here, they're up near these temples, and this is the first communication node where people will be able to start hearing some of these messages from these very isolated mamos that have very specific frameworks of understanding that need to be communicated to us, that other governments are not so interested in hearing. Has to do with our planetary crisis and the state that we're in. They have learned to embody and maintain peace and harmony and joy and tranquility. They say those words as mantras. So it's very difficult to understand that they are currently holding space for a crisis. It seems very nonchalant and normal, but in the reality, they are very, very busy, very difficult to get them to be able to come together. So this was one of the ways that we're hoping to amplify the message and get more people involved. And in that, they have quite a large message or declaration that they would like to share. I know that we're hitting an hour now. It might be good that we dive into some of that.
Please go ahead. We just so you know that the tribe, the intergalactic, the Star Nation I represent, the Octurians, everything that you just shared through them, it's very much also part of our teachings and the way we live in unity consciousness and cultivation with the universal laws and everything. So there's a lot of similarity, just so you know.
Beautiful. Okay. I will relate that specifically. Bunkwaney-Maku.
Sí,
Lo de Vivian, yo estuve diciendo que ahora con ustedes estamos trabajando bien para ver cómo comunicar más. Por esto tenemos el satelital ahí con ustedes cerca de los templos, y que ahora ustedes pueden comunicar con los diferentes mamos más cercanos y agrupar, y que este es una manera de lanzar a través de esta alianza para que podamos comunicar directamente con la gente y diferentes alianzas, como los gobiernos tal vez no están muy prudentes en escuchar o actuar, digamos. Así, como ya estamos una hora aquí, parece que puede ser un tiempo bonito a entrar en esta declaración que ya pusiste, que está bastante fuerte, que puede ser como un puente ahora.
perfecto. Entendido.
Uh-huh. Como ahora estamos en un crisis, que diciendo que ustedes casi nunca parecen como están en crisis, porque tu mantra, tu sonido, tus canciones son siempre de paz, de armonía, de tranquilidad, de alegría. Entonces es difícil a ver que ustedes están aportando muchísimo en lo que es una energía tal vez gunsina. Entonces, como ellos no pueden percibir que estamos en un punto muy crítico, que el planeta está bastante débil por nuestras acciones, tal vez podemos compartir un poco de esta esencia que es necesario para nuestras personas a escuchar a qué estado estamos ahorita en el planeta.
Perfecto, a eso estamos.
Perfect.
Porque el planeta es de todos.
He says, I said, well, you're living in such a moment. It's difficult to understand that we're in a crisis. And many people even are told that we're not in a crisis. So maybe they could just share with us their perception of what the state of the planet is. And he says, of course, that's what we're here for, because this planet is for everyone. Bueno. Entonces, compartiendo un poco sobre el estado del planeta y la declaración.
Podemos comenzar. Ende ibaringa jugajina nisi vinzoya nisere mogajuna nande angue duna angue gansina wasi kuno. Ende bunasir angue duna gunti wasajaya ni de taran tarizan gunzen. Ende iksera zinamer kagam kajunan. Azinamer iksere umang chajani zanan. Gunjan dazya chujamer. Nanda unan ko izan au tarijano kaime zanan de kimare. Yanki kwa kweka di ni kanonande. Kwasi zui kweka gung ikanga rumang katwina gung nanande. Iwe ma rein kwaja ikwe zui kweka. Andi kwam kabi zani kumanga kanamure wesi. Kanamure anki pari zui gung. Iwe ne kegwana kwa kumaji kasi ne na ima misi zui panan. Wan kwanambare. Ende angwe dunanga wasi angwe gansinanga wasi akwa. Tiema jinga za kapta wagwi.
Galardón ni sello. Nangwari. Iba ibi. Gaknamu. Angkajas kwa gaknamari. Manengkalinga jasangwachi. Bunsi china name. Angkaigan kwamana kare. Bunsi nan china rebi nan zani kadisi mishin kiwa. Tima dui kwa kona kingiri. Ima kagumu kwa kuma wa kinusi. Ima tikin kwa kuma nani. Nibiri kaigan kura naname. Kaigan kwa naname. Jire. Bema chavi. Kanigana kinana ni yare. Kame kusimizagyan de kinisi na chukana kini. Vichinuga ana bungane kaunikane. Timanangware vichinuga kasa moch virakoks. Awani. Nikane nibiri nivianugwarima na bata. Aver juga jinarem. Ema duzakusi. Taname zar koizikwa de Butsinze narizon nar gaynarizon quimple intosumpana je intosumpana pina junande gabi narima chizanikan de pina anuge mana kungwa kwasi nanai juga dinare anano andima duna anuge nakana ali kansina sezon anu zenusi ya drame gunga jachka liware Ndinga kwasi ndinga junsi zoyan zong mana kwezi kwa na ibitinare ana kwasi kunya zoya bari wa niviri eima na nekna name emre zerna juk jebe maingura gasya quim kni gresya buniknam tasmuk Eki dupina zanangai kare kamkine kizeku. Zama nisi vai kare nivi jumanski. Nivi sinamsin kubaski. Ema gavi bema singun nikon kainan unar. Ingin ngarna nai kavi timasin vira koksin nanangani wuksin nanangani agwana bata angkuch. Zenu kura nananame. Agamun nivi zini kagazanugin pa toni kakam kavin zinu kurari. Main anakarna livari pina junana makanja ni basim kumprengra kumpana vere vivin zani kumpana kumprengra kumpana vere buni kantampan kumprengra nugame bi jetan pan avini znami mari toni kakam kavin tar tokin avjaziazi kakamuri jomri undini aziazi chung kakini ngona keimasin waring-waring virakoko nari karena kiana pasan zain zana kare lima amanis ni zari manabi zamri ignasin kinki pamu mana anugar cham kawana ni mana pamu kawika ne mana pamu kawika bin sient kaginan zinajin ki agam kinki Birin bunsi chana zanan di nibiri zana jupi zari chukam kawan na bata jiwan kare gukuna bunikan bemasa kare gukunu gana kinan jeo bemasa kare gukunu gana kinan nari queen kane yevar zaman chizan uzo ya kinugin gukuna kinan asinami ya rasisne zo jana gukuna nan luga bata anu garen kapasi zori ni kare managri kare ni bingwana nanu ni zarna name zan naima juga jinasa ni bekwari zanande and that's kinti vinzari vin punku azvina zari punugame revinju achkiza nugame reju kazari abakavandi nivi kurabari tana nugina ki ni zamukun tana nugai kasa gizam wamni kisnu gizam ni zram ilmani kutusan kazari ma jomri wandi rima sajindi rima saikon kutusandi Chawin panipanandi vare no panikare nari zanandi zan paname agano pagavizandi zarzanai.
La declaración es sería como un mandato bajo la ley de origen. Todo tiene que ser bajo una orden. Y esa orden tiene una disciplina para entender esa realidad de nuestra vida. Entonces, muchas veces aquí venimos, es como interés de hacer las cosas, pero aquí no se trata tanto de hacer, sino de entender. Porque podemos decir que vivimos 100 años, 200 años. Yo tengo todo el derecho. Pero en base a la originalidad de esa ley, tendría el deber de entender esa ley milenarias que ha venido conservando de millones de años. Y también tiene un conjunto de actividades que ellos han estado realizando para cuidar esa energía positiva para la humanidad y para los seres vivientes. Porque hay una energía también contiene desde el astro que quiere destruir lo que es la energía vertical. Y es lo mismo, nace la gente o seres vivientes con una energía negativa, porque se desplazan hasta los mismos entre árboles por cambios climáticos. Entonces, para que no suceda eso, para uno estar con esta tranquilidad, paz y armonía, tenemos que entender esa esencia de la naturaleza, porque todos queremos estar bien, todos queremos estar tranquilos. Entonces, este mundo no es para estar con destranquilidad. Tenemos que tener tranquilidad. Entonces, bajo esa orientación, nosotros hemos vivido manteniendo esa línea que es perfecta, y yo creo que esto es de todos, es un deber, es un compromiso que nosotros nos han dejado como ser humano. Pero también hemos entendido que en base a la ley originaria hemos visto también hay una ley que es negativa, que todo es como crear con cosas de grande interés, pero que son absurdas. Es como todo como decir yo el único que debo ordenar, pero comparando ser humano con que el orden natural no es superior. Entonces quiere decir que el que crea el hombre no garantiza nada a la vida. Y eso lleva a un caos. La mente lo va encarcelando y lo va limitando. Entonces hemos visto que es necesario conversar y dialogar para entrar en este entendimiento, ¿no? Entonces, por ejemplo, ¿quién creó un ser humano, una estrella? O el sol, o la luna. Entonces, muchos seres humanos, con la ley hecha por un humano, nos salimos de esa ley, digamos, ley que es universal. Pero también tenemos que entender cada uno las actividades que tienen el cosmos. Como un ejemplo, desde nuestra sabiduría, el sol, dicen que da muchas energía, pero dependiendo de nuestra posición, de nuestra energía. Porque el sol dice que desde nuestra sabiduría no revive lo que es seres vivientes. Si por lo menos usted ve una semilla en el camino, el sol lo seca, o sea, definitivamente, si estaba muriéndose, bueno, lo acaba de secar. Y si es un humano, un niño, no lo revive, lo seca total. Entonces dicen que el sol no tiene comparación, o sea, no compara, no es más centralizado solamente en su deber. Pero ese es dependiendo de nuestra posición. En cambio, la luna le da vida, porque la luna es más como madre, tiene esa energía positiva, entonces le da vida, porque le da luz y a la vez le da, como que le dicen, el rocío, el agua, nosotros le llamamos moche. Entonces le da alimenta en el cuerpo a través de esos líquidos y el viento y le da energía y lo hace revivir. Entonces, cada uno hay que entendernos como esa base, con esa ideología, ¿no? Entonces, mucha gente cree que está haciendo bien y está más bien destruyendo a su propia vida. Porque con lo que quiere hacer en el mundo para que la gente, la humanidad viva bien, a veces más bien está haciendo lo contrario. O sea, hay una línea que es horizontal, que es Gansigna, entonces todo lo hace destruyendo. Eso nos lleva al caos y la misma energía nos hace destruir. Hay otra energía vertical, no es tanto destruir, sino entender lo que es una razón de ser. O sea, hay dos formas en este mundo mismo, digamos hasta planeta Tierra, en la base de universalidad, eso es dependiendo de nuestro corazón y de nuestra posición bajo ese mandato. Entonces es muy importante descifrar que cada cosa es importante, pero dependiendo de nuestra energía y nuestros caminos y nuestras rutas. Entonces veo que es muy importante consolidar este mensaje, y también porque ahí dice Uku, también dependiendo de nuestra actitud. Y Butsina, o sea, todo tiene sus padres, quien creó, pero tiene que ser bajo nuestra responsabilidad. Entonces mucha gente busca es como más bien al último quedarse en temas de obligación. Entonces el mismo la energía negativa lo obliga a someterse a estar más en la necesidad. Porque ahí tiene un sistema artificial, nosotros vemos que eso sería como invitar para que sea una alianza para organizar y entender muy detenidamente, a analizar las afectaciones que ha habido en este mundo natural, que es tan pequeño como, no es grande como nuestro pensamiento, es más pequeño, como es dueño de la vida. Entonces con ese orden de ideas nosotros queremos mantener esa sabiduría que es universal. Entonces yo creo que esto no es por nada que estamos hablando, sino para consolidar y materializar cómo podemos defender al menos en el corazón del mundo, para que empiece a latir a todas las montañas de cualquier rincón del país, para que pueda fluir agua y para que empiecen a conectarse en el corazón de cada uno de las montañas y cada uno de la fauna y flora y humanos. Porque hay un dicho, hay una sabiduría que dicen, Caca Seranpa no creó, sino que apadrinó para materializar. Porque nació, para nosotros el mundo no es un mundo, sino es una nación del mundo oscuro, donde reina la energía negativa, donde el padre que se llama Kadukwū. Y Bunkwaney-Maku es el padre del sol que dio la luz, y los seres vivientes que solamente le dio para que dé la luz. Entonces, pero es el sol, no es inmovible. En cambio la luna como madre es lo mismo, como una madre tiene un hijo y está más pendientes con todos, porque por eso está cerca con la madre tierra, está en conjunto, más cerca. Entonces es la hija más preferida. Entonces seamos hijos de esa esencia, ¿no? Porque aquí no venimos a crear otra cosa ni inventar cosas, sino mantener esa esencia de la sabiduría universal. Entonces de ahí ya empezamos a entender con los otros seres que están relacionados con todos los, o sea, en conjunto del universo. Porque de ser viviente, ¿quién no quiere estar mal? ¿Quién quiere estar violentado? ¿Quién quiere estar fuera de la sociedad? ¿Quién quiere estar mal vivido? Ninguno. Ninguno quiere quemarse. Ni el mismo fuego no quieren quemarse. Pero como no sabe que él es fuego, o sea, candela. Bueno, eso es como declaración, ¿no?
Seguramente. Algo poderoso y bonito y muy, muy importante. Y bastante largo.
Y también le digo como acturiano que sean una alianza entre nosotros para ir formándonos hacia futuro y para hacer entender a los nuevos que van a venir y para hacer el camino y el ruta de la línea positiva y dejarle claro el pensamiento que estamos conversando, ¿no? Como estamos alimentándonos. Sería un alimento entre nosotros y en conjunto con el universo.
Perfecto. Okay. So thank you guys all for your patience. It's quite an undertaking here. We have a declaration, and so I hope we'll be able to distribute. Maybe we can put a link at some point to have an actual PDF version of what they've written out, as it does indicate the key differences between the vertical line and the horizontal line, and also some of the consequences that are taking place because of the choices of, I guess, the minority of humans now, if you really look at it, the way that the planet is being managed. The minority of humans is still following actively the horizontal line and inviting more of us unwittingly into that horizontal line. So the declaration, as it is stated, is a mandate under the law of origin. Everything has to be under an order, and this order needs to have discipline. To understand this reality of our life, there has to be order and discipline. Because many times we come here trying to do things. But here on Earth, in the physical, it's not about doing things. It's about understanding the things. Like if one was to live here for 100 years or 200 years, the reason for being here, you get created, and then you are here to understand the law or laws that is here. Something that has been conserved for millions of years. We are part of a very, very ancient system. And realizing how to take care of these positive energies that are here for humanity and other living beings. That is our goal. That is what we are allowed to do. That is the gift and privilege that we're given about by taking our human life. Because there is an energy that is living in the stars that wants to destroy the energy of the vertical line, we have to be very conscious and careful about how we decide to position ourselves energetically here in our lifetime on the planet. There are stars that are connected directly to negative forces, and then there are stars that are connected to positive forces, and there are equal amounts of influence possible. And some people are born even with negative energies. Even other beings and trees can be born with a negative spirit, as we're seeing often now with what's happening with climate change. There are different energies that are invading through different systems. So with peace and harmony, we need to understand the essence of nature. Because we all want to be well. We all want to live tranquilly. We need to have tranquility down to our bones, embodied into our actions, into our thoughts, into our movements. So with this order that we have been living in this life that is perfect, life that is for everyone, when you look at really what we are given, especially in an example in a very simplistic form, we are given a perfect life with a perfect amount of abundance. We have access to water and food and air and all the things that we need if we're born into something like what the Arhuacos have, where they have maintained their land and their traditions and their people. You are born and you don't need money and you don't need systems of any other sort other than what is in nature. And to be born into that, you realize that life is in fact perfect before it was turned into other things. And since that life is for everyone, it is a work that has been left here for us, as the Arhuacos are saying, for them to still embody and bring forth and to show others that it is possible and that this life is real and what this life even is, as most of us are not able to connect to that. So continuing with the mandate, he says, and also we understand that in the primordial laws, there are these negative laws, like to create absurd things with large interests, as if someone is saying, I am the only one that gives orders here as a human. But if one is to say that, then it's contrary to the laws that are already here existing. And the human that thinks they are superior to nature brings us into chaos and destruction. For this, we need to enter into dialogue so that others can understand. So, which human made the sun? Or a star? Or what human put the moon there? These are universal laws that created those things. No human did. And we also need to take into consideration the cosmos. When we're talking about energy, the sun gives a lot of energy, but it depends on our position, our energetic position. Because in our wisdoms, the sun doesn't revive living beings. The sun sees a seed in the path on the road and it's drying, and the sun will finish drying it. The sun will say, okay, that seed is drying, I will continue and I will dry it. If the sun sees a child that is dying, the sun will not revive the child. The sun does not compare. It just gives. It gives to whatever. It gives energy. And that is what the sun does, whether it's negative or positive. So it is very, very important, our energetic position, the energetic emission that we are ourselves putting out or that we are in tune with, attuned with. Same with the moon, with the mother. The moon gives light. It also works with the water. It gives life to the body through these liquids. So every simple thing that we see, that we relate to, we need to understand them to the very base of what they actually are and how they're actually functioning. Many people think they are doing good things, but they are actually destroying their own lives. Many times humans are actually doing the contrary to what is needed to create life. There is a line of energy, the horizontal line, which is negative. And that energy makes destruction by law. It is the outcome. So depending on if we are situated in negative energy or positive energy, we are going to be empowered towards what we choose. So this depends on our heart and our position under this mandate. And there is another law that is the vertical line, which is not so much about doing things as the horizontal line is. It's more about understanding existence itself. As one is attuned to positive energy, to tranquility, and embodying the actions of, or rather the alignments of the vertical line, you almost don't need to do things because you're in alignment. Things happen, things become, and your thoughts are very powerful, and all of the stars are helping you. So depending on if you choose to be doing things or choose to just simply be, and what energy you put yourself in, there can be very fantastic or very grave consequences. Everything is important, but it all depends on our path, our route, and our position. So it's very important to consolidate this message. And even the Pleiadians also, depending on our energetic position, it's all the things. Everything can affect us negatively or positively, depending on our own self. So in the end, many people end up in obligations. And then their own energy starts to keep them in those obligations, continuing to create obligations related to other obligations. So really, what we are choosing is what we are receiving. In that, we need to start really looking at the effects that we have been putting on this earth. Our thoughts are very powerful and create realities. So how can we come together to materialize the protection of the heart of the world, so that from here we can protect all of the mountains across this entire planet, as the heart is the central energetic node to bring balance to the rest of the planet, so that water can flow across the whole planet and the flora and fauna can be happy and abundant. This planet is not a world. It is a nation inside the dark world where a negative energy is reigning. And we are on the path, guided by the elders, to transition and bring this dark nation into a nation of light. That is what is being seen as what is happening now, as we might refer to the transition or ascension. The mother, the moon, it's closer to the physical world and helps us with our life here. It's, as a mother would be, more close in interacting with the life itself. Whereas the sun, the father, doesn't work with such details. It's farther away in our upbringing, but it gives us all of the energy needed to do so, depending on our orientation. And in the end, who really wants to live a bad life? Who wants to be in a bad state? No one wants to burn themselves. Not even fire wants to burn itself. And so, with this message and this understanding of the vertical line, the horizontal line, and the different factors that contribute to our reality, mainly oriented around our own energetic position, we would like that the Arcturians can help us communicate these messages to the future generations, operating as an element between the universe and ourselves.
Absolutely amazing. Mucho gracias. Yes, we do serve as element of teaching. We are the sacred bridge, the guardians. And this is why I'm here. This is why we are here. So definitely there's a lot of messages they're sharing that we share, which simply have different way of communicating, but it's the same synergy, it's the same movement, the same very similar message that refer to the shifting out of what they call the dark nations, or the split in its timelines. It reminds me also of the prophecy rock of the Opi Nation. Their prophecy rock talks about the disconnect, the head disconnecting with the heart, and the line going back to the creator, or the line that disconnects you from. So there's a lot of similarity that we see. So we are extremely grateful, not only for their presence and their ongoing dedication to this nation, to the universal laws, to our return in our state of light, grace, or what we call the reascension. I know we have taken a lot of time and we're already beyond the time right now. We just simply want to convey our deep gratitude and let everybody know that this is just the beginning. There's going to be a continuation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, it does seem like a very grand moment when you see that the multiple ambassadors are here together to bridge such a weaving and an intergalactic one at that. It's very beautiful. Thank you for your opportunity and presence to be here, the service that you've brought in, and also everything that you've built with the university and community. And we are very interested in figuring out how to further this message. I hope that there will be a way to potentially distribute some of the specifically the mandate document potentially to help others understand a little bit more about the horizontal and vertical line. And of course, they would love to continue bringing, as they mentioned, this is the first trust building moment, and there will be many to follow.
Yes, let's communicate to see how we can continue to build those trust moments. And if you have the PDF of the document, I can always post it directly on our Octrine University as another way of sacred wisdom that really interweave with the teaching, the living knowledge, and the teaching that we bring, definitely. So that's something that we can do. And of course, with Jeff here at the podcast, that will be available. Everyone can watch this replay right away. It's going to be also distributed on many other platforms. But let's continue the dialogue to like the next building trust of moments together. And everyone who's still here, there's also a website right now which you, the kualamafoundation.org. And I know you also have TMO, the sunnation.org, that also we can look into, and the links are in the chat room right here. We invite everyone to tune in and to live. It's about living, like the shaman will also say, or eternal living impeccably, and to living in oneness again. So this is just the beginning, and we are going to co-create a continuation. We are honored. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much, much gratitude. Much gratitude.
Guys.
Sí, muchísimas gracias, Bunkwaney-Maku y Mamo. Estamos muy agradecidos a tener este momento entre los embajadores de los Guardián del Corazón del Mundo y embajadores de Arcturiano y enlaces intergalácticos. Y bueno, ya estamos en el tiempo corto por terminar. Han dicho que seguramente este momento es bien hecho para construir confianza entre nosotros y vamos a tener mucho más. Quieren invitar a ustedes a ver cómo podemos ampliar en este mensaje y diferentes partes que están como muy necesario a comunicar a los Yugajina. Y bueno, sí, están muy, muy feliz que está pasando y esta alianza está hecho y creciendo.
Igual.
Duni, aquí estamos para servirnos.
He says, thank you. Well, we are here to serve. And for their word duni, du is again the positive, actually a positive vibration. You can feel it as it is said. And ni is about rotating or spinning together. And du is to the right. The same as the planet, as it is a fractal universal law, right? So we are spinning in this way. So to actually say duni, for us, we think it is just to mean thank you because it's translated to gracias. But in reality, they are saying something very profound. and they say, thank you for spinning in positivity with us here in this moment.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And lastly, I would just like to say thank you to the Kualama Foundation, as you put their link, for organizing this. They have come together in this alliance as well with Nikuma. They're operating as a bridge in order to help communicate this very important data. They're organizing grid activations and different movements on a planetary level in order to help the mamos who need to be going to specific parts on the planet to keep balance and maintain and understand. So the Kualama Foundation is an integral part in this role. And then also Sun Nation, our organization that we've been working with the Arhuacos for the last 8 years now, and have found our way into becoming the special advisors for their government in helping create intergovernmental relationships. So we are very blessed with that opportunity and are hoping for any type of contacts or interests that people see, some weaving that can be happening throughout the collective that can bring forth a harmonic and tranquil transition.
Incredible. And of course, thank you so much for your incredible linguistic services. Without you, the bridge of communications, whether through ancient language to Spanish to us, in English, very, very much deeply appreciated, and everything that you do. I know that we will see more of each other, but just for today, let's just close the sacred space just for right now. And of course, everything is a continuation, and on the intergalactics as much as on behalf of this planet, we walk in a great energy of gratitude and love. And stay in your tranquility, stay in your light, cultivate universal peace, everyone. We are very grateful. We will see you again here on the Infinite Star Connection podcast. We're coming back already on the first Sunday of October, Sunday, October 5th. We'll come back here. But for the time being, stay in that energy. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tiamo. Thank you also, everyone, and the Mamos and Beyond the Stars. Much love, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Duni.